Unfiltered stories, unapologetic truth, unmistakably brave. Hello and welcome to the BraveAF Podcast. My name is Jessica and I am your host. I'm excited, I'm honored, I am humbled that you are here again today. Episode 4, y'all. Holy hell, here we are. 2026. Can we just all acknowledge how fucking crazy that is? I mean, it was not that long ago. At least it doesn't feel like it was that long ago when we were all sitting here worried about like the world coming to an end, right? Like Y2K, everything's going to shut down, everything as we know it is going to go into oblivion and we're going to just, disappear off the face of the earth or whatever. And here we are 26 years later and, still kicking it. Like who the fuck knew, right? Probably a lot of us. But it just goes to show you how many times in our lives have we been led to believe something and we didn't know what to expect, but there was this little bit of angst that was kind of like, what if the world does end today? Are we ready? What's going to happen? What's it going to look like? And nothing fucking happened. Certainly not apocalyptic as, some had wanted us to believe. And that happens a lot in life, right? Like we are told that if we don't do this or we don't meet that goal or if we don't hit this mark, then, oh my gosh, it's the end of life as we know it. You're going to just fall off the earth. And you don't, right? How many times have we said we're never going to get through this? I can't survive this. I'm not strong enough for this. I'm not smart enough, wise enough, fit enough, whatever. And, oh, well, lo and behold, you fucking survived it. Congratulations. You defied the odds. You're here. So kudos to you. You should feel brave already. If you don't, my goal is to make you feel brave before long. All right. So let's do a quick recap. Well, first, can we just address the elephant in the room? For those of you that have been listening for the last few episodes and know me at all, I would like to point out something. I am not, in fact, wearing a hoodie for this particular episode. You're welcome, I guess. I also attempted to do my hair. And can I just be honest with you? I can't promise that's going to happen a whole lot. I would fully expect a hat next week. Just saying. I realize it's not flattering. I don't give a fuck. So, anyways, I digress. So last week we talked about creating a vision with intention, right? We talked about vision boards. I told you why I thought they were an effective tool to use when you are setting your New Year's resolutions or your goals now or anytime in your life, right? And why I use them myself, and I really encourage you to create one of your own. I realize it's only been a week, so you probably haven't created one yet. That's okay. I still want to encourage you to do it, and I want you to let me know when you do. All right, share your pictures, all those things over on Instagram for now. All right, let's start there. Let's build a platform at a time if you want, because this shit takes time. And so BraveAF Podcast over on Instagram. Hit me up over there. Share your stories, share your experiences, when they've worked for you, or if you're going to try one for your first time, if you've done one, if you've never heard of it. Let's talk about it. All right. So that's what we talked about last week. If you didn't catch it, go back and listen to that episode. That'll kind of give you a little bit of an idea of the stage I'm setting for you right now. So as I mentioned before, we're going to have guests on the show. I know some of you are probably thinking that I'm lying to you. I'm not, I swear. But before I jump in and throw people out here into the wild, I wanted to set a foundation of, what to expect on the show, what kind of energy we're going to have on the show, and what kind of direction I want to lead you guys in. Because again, the show is about being brave. And I believe that all of you inherently have that courage, all right? But some of you have either forgotten how to tap into it, you've never tapped into it before, or you're not sure how to tap into it. And so those are the kinds of things I want to teach you, and I want to walk you through to kind of guide you and help you understand how to get there. I also want to set a good foundation of where your mind needs to be and your mindset needs to be focused and where your energy needs to be in order to achieve the things that you want to do in your life, to become the best version of yourself. Okay. And all of these pieces work together. And so that's what we're going to work on right now, is kind of building up that foundation. All right. And setting the stage for your development and areas that you can, maybe it's new to you, or you're improving on it, or you're strengthening that muscle, right? Whether it's manifestation or just in your belief in general, it's reducing limitations, it's improving your self-talk, it's improving your self-control and discipline. And guys, listen, here, I'll be the first to tell you, I haven't perfected any one aspect of these things. I'm just compelled to share what I have learned so far and also what I am continuing learning. And we learn together, all right? We do this shit together and we figure it out. We figure out life, all right? But what I can tell you is that, if you had met me, say, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I was an extremely negative, pessimistic person. I didn't believe in a whole hell of a lot. My self-talk was complete shit, far worse than it is now. And I was, I would tell everybody I was a realist, right? I was keeping it real. And by real, I meant that's never going to work. That was always my response. It's never going to happen, yada, yada, yada. Is that you? Do you know somebody like that? It's human nature for us to lean towards the negative because it doesn't take a whole lot to believe in the things going wrong. That feels more, likely to happen until you learn to shift your thinking and you start to look for the positive and you focus and center your energy in gratitude. And as you begin to do that and things do begin to work out in your favor and things do fall in place for you and things do start to happen, then you are more apt to actually believe the positive. And you're like, oh, hey, that's been reinforced time and time again. You know what? Shit is working in my favor at all times. The universe does have my back. And y'all, that is a very real thing. But it doesn't happen until you get there and you believe it and you're putting that energy out into the universe that's what comes back to you, okay? So I know, again, sounds a little woo-woo, but y'all got to stick with me on these shows, all right? And just follow along and trust me, all right? Because, again, I have done this work. I am still doing this work. I am very transparent about that. So, don't mistake me as saying, hey, I'm better than anything or anyone. Not who I am, not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I've done some things. I want to share with you how they worked for me so that you can do some things too and we can learn together. All right, cool. So we're in this together. All right, so what do we want to talk about? Well, this week I want to talk about something that I actually shared with a group of women several years ago, probably 2018. And the title of the presentation at the time was "You Are Not Enough." And I know, sounds a little like, huh? What? Right? Like, wouldn't think that would be something I would say, right? So I want to explain to you kind of where I'm coming at with this and the different interpretations of this phrase, all right? So a lot of times, this phrase, we hear it all the time on social media, you are enough. And I firmly believe that when it is referring to your worthiness. So let me give you an example. Sometimes people will say, I didn't get that because I'm not deserving or I'm not enough, whether they're talking about love or they're talking about respect or they're talking about being, chosen for maybe a relationship, a promotion, these types of scenarios where we're like, oh, I'm just not good enough. I'm not good enough to have this. I'm not good enough to deserve that whole bullshit mindset, right? And it's very common. Again, human nature defaults to that a lot until we reprogram it, all right? Like we're just somewhere along the lines in our childhood or something happened to us, we failed and we've convinced ourselves or someone else convinced us that we're not good enough. We're not good enough for X, Y, Z, whatever, all right? So when someone says you are enough, they're saying you are worthy of it, all right? You in and of yourself and what you currently consist of and who you are as a person is worth love, respect, honor, whatever. Okay? When I say you are not enough, I'm referring to something a little different. What I'm referring to is the scenarios where we have tried to convince ourselves that we are supposed to be enough in the way that we should not ask for help. All right? So hear me out on this. So often there are things that we are going through, struggles that we are facing, things that we are inundated with that are, consuming us or concerning us, causing us angst, turmoil, difficulties, right? And we don't ask for help. Why? Because we've told ourselves that, it's weak to ask for help or that we are supposed to be strong enough and figure it out ourselves. And yes, a lot of times we do just fucking figure it out because we have to. But so often we hide the struggle or the difficulties or we are hesitant or refuse to ask for help or guidance or mentorship or any of that because someone might think that we are weak or that we couldn't figure something out on our own, so we must be a failure, we're not good enough, yada yada. So when I say you are not enough, what I am saying to you is you are not meant to do it alone, all right? You're not supposed to suffer in silence. So let me give you some examples. So many times people will go through really difficult seasons of their life, whether it's a health challenge, a family challenge, career, whatever, and they don't mention it to really anybody, or they don't mention it online, for example. And let me just preface this. I'm not saying you're supposed to go online and air all your dirty laundry. I'm not asking you to go out there and post all your life's details and bitch about life. Not what I'm saying, all right? Stick with me here. What I am saying is people don't share the struggle. They either don't share the circumstance at all because they're ashamed for some reason, or they simply say, oh, I had this, but, we got through it, no big deal. And they brush it off like it was nothing, which is a huge disservice to everyone, including themselves, right? Because here's the thing, guys. So many times we get on social media, and I don't mean to rag on just social media, but we all know that is the most prevalent way that we get information about other people, or we compare our lives to others, right? And we look at their highlight reels, right? And we set a bar or a metric that we hold our own life against, and to determine how successful we are. And we will see people who look like they have it all put together and look like they've got everything figured out, or that they can just surpass every, insurmountable type challenge with ease. And it's bullshit. And when people aren't honest about their struggle and they don't ask for help, we give this disillusionment that asking for it is wrong or somehow weak or shameful, okay? Here's the thing, guys. First off, do not fucking measure your success or your life by social media, period, ever. Just don't, because you don't even know what's real, all right? Like, that's an episode for another day. But let me give you a specific example. There was a family, this was several years ago, that we were always kind of just in awe of, right? We were watching their life online and we're just kind of like, how do they have all these things, and what do they do for a living to afford that? And they have this beautiful house and they have this perfect little family, and they just seem so happy, and they do all these things together, and they've got it figured out, right? And they lived a long ways from us, so the only reference we had was what they chose to share online for all of us to see. Now, this particular family moved closer to us several years back, and I got to visit them in person for the first time, which I was super stoked about. Like, oh my gosh, I want to hang out with these people. They're super positive. They got their shit together. I can learn from them. They can teach us, some tricks. I don't know, whatever. But what I found when I actually hung out with them was completely the opposite. What I found was a couple that argued consistently, like yelled at each other, yelled at their children, screaming, and just not kind to one another. And it was disheartening, troubling, slightly toxic. It was completely opposite of what they had portrayed online, right? And then there was another, time where we had spent an evening together and we were talking about, I don't know, business, life, and all the things. And, I thought they were extremely successful. But what I had found out is that they were like $80,000 in credit card debt. And all of these things that they were purchasing from their said success was all on credit. And they were robbing Peter to pay Paul kind of thing. You know what I mean? So it was all smoke and mirrors. It was all bullshit. And I was disheartened by that. And I was also a little bit angry because here it was, I was chasing something set by somebody who wasn't even there. You know what I mean? They weren't at the mark. They hadn't met the bar that I had put out there based on their social media and their highlight reel. And I'm telling y'all, this is common. There's a lot of people who pretend to be a lot of things online. All right, so here's what you need to know. Not everything you see online is true. And you need to know that it's okay to be vulnerable and ask for help. And I want to encourage you to do that. Because here's the thing I have learned over the years. The more and more I share about my struggles and my insecurities or the things that I'm learning, You guys, listen, I don't share them because I need attention. I don't even want the attention. I know I launched a podcast. I'm here for you, believe it or not. But I share those things, and the more that I do that, the more people can relate, and I give them permission to do the same. Now, again, I'm not saying get online and air all your dirty laundry, because some things don't need to be shared publicly. All right. I don't share a lot of the things that I have gone through in detail online. One, it doesn't need to be documented. I don't need it to be taken out of context, and I don't need everybody's opinion on it. All right. So, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is it's okay to admit that there is struggle. It's okay to say, hey, I'm going through this really difficult season and I could use some help. I could use some support. I could use some guidance, right? I want you to feel okay in asking for help and realize that while, yes, you are enough and you are worthy of love, respect, honor, and all of the things that you have earned, the things that you've accomplished. So many of us, we get uncomfortable with success, right? And we sabotage ourselves, and we've just got this fucking, thought train that stays on repeat that tells us we aren't good enough, we aren't worthy of what we have, or worthy of what we want, or worthy of what we aspire to be. All of these things, right? The world is against us, yada, yada, yada. Bullshit. It's all bullshit, all right? We get so stuck in that. And what I want you to do and understand is that while you are enough and worthy of all the things I just covered, you are not enough in and of yourself to have to figure it all out on your own. So stop trying. There's no award for suffering in silence. And this show is going to be people coming forward to share their experiences and what it was like for them in those moments, and who they looked to for support, where they found that, what resources did they have, what resources can we share with you so that you have them to help you get through that particular season or phase of your life that you need help with. All right. This is what it's about, you guys. This is what being brave as fuck is about. It's about, digging deep and working on yourself, owning your own thoughts, beliefs, your patterns, your behaviors, taking responsibility for working on them where you need to, being strong enough to be vulnerable and ask for help, and then turning around and helping others when you've gotten to the other side and be like, hey, I see you. I empathize with your pain. I understand your struggle. I can relate to the difficulties. And I want to encourage you and say, hey, this is how I got to the other side of that, or something similar to that. Or I know somebody that's gone through something like that that's, I would love to connect you with, so that you have an additional resource and a sounding board and a support system. Okay? Because it matters. That's what I'm talking about today. All right. So just to recap, what are we doing? We are reflecting on the year, last year, right? We are going to create a vision, and ultimately a vision board, ideally, right? And then we are going to work on this whole misconception we're supposed to do it alone, and we're going to ask for help. We're going to find ways that we can offer help to others. All right? That's where we're going to start 2026. Y'all are amazing. I hope to see you next week, and talk to you soon.